I started writing poems when I was living in Montreal in 1964. So I was 24 then. And when I started writing there, I didn't know them as poems. I was writing things that were more or less exploring my boyhood experiences back home in Newfoundland. A lot of them I've lost since. I think one of the better ones was one called Penny's Field, which I remember only having in my possession for about a week, and then I loaned to somebody, never saw it since. The first one I wrote was a thing called The Border, which was subsequently published in my first book, and which I still think is the best poem in that first book. All the rest of them are pretty, somewhere between bad and terrible. That one was still not a bad poem, I don't think. And that one is based on the kind of animosities that we used to express with rocks aimed at each other's heads across Bell's Brook, on the west side of CornerBrook. But when I was writing these things, I wasn't writing them consciously as poems. Clyde Rose was living in Montreal at the time, was a friend of mine. He's publisher of Breakwater Books and the editor of several of their anthologies. But he was there at the time, and he liked the things I was writing, and he was the one who said they were poems, and then showed me a book by Irving Layton, a great Canadian poet who was still alive, was then and is now, still writing. And I looked at Irving Layton's poems and said, yeah, I guess so. If they're poems, then what I'm writing is poems. Though what I was writing, of course, wasn't nearly as good as Irving Layton's stuff. But well, I continued doing that kind of thing, and sometime after that, I guess I started to think of myself as an aspiring poet.